Hi, this week I thought I would talk to you about, well, a few things, as I do, because I go on off tangent. But I've been working on structural edits, not for one of my Georgina books, but for one of my Deborah Carr books. It's an historical fiction, and structural edits always tend to be much more involved for me with my historical novels. One, I suppose, because they're historical, so you have to get your facts right, although the story that I write, the stories are always fiction, but they are inspired usually by something. This book is inspired by two ladies, one in particular. I'll tell you more about it closer to May when the book's coming out. And they're 100,000 words long. So whereas my Georgina Troy books are 80,000 words long, or thereabouts. So it's a longer book. It's also obviously got to have historical fact correct, as well as the story being interesting and each character having their proper story arc. So I've been doing structural edits for that, and I think I've done structural edits for most of my books. Some are worse than others. This one was. This one I rewrote I deleted I think 7 chapters from the first half of the book, and I had added lots of different scenes and that sort of thing. So it's been a huge amount of work. I finished the structural edits last night, but from today I will then spend a few days listening to it. So what I do is my computer will read it to me, because I think most people who write find that it's the best way to edit a book, or to notice things that you've missed, typos or grammatical changes, certainly in when you listen to it, is to look at it on a different format. So I write it on a laptop. I then listen to it on my computer. So I'm looking at it, I'm hearing it, and different things like that. I might read it through it on my Kindle, for example. So obviously it's set out differently on a Kindle as it is in a Word document. And it's different ways it helps you with those things. So I've still got to listen to it, and then I'll send it back to my editor, and I hope she likes what I've done. If not, I'll be sent it back again, and I really don't want it to be sent back again. After structural edits, I have copy, line edits, and proofs to go through. So it got me thinking, when you're writing that first book, if you're like me, my first book was Broken Faces, another historical. I've sold many, many copies of the book. I self-published this book. I've spoken about it in the past. It was runner-up in the Good Housekeeping novel writing competition, and through that, one of the judges, Luigi Bonomi, I never know how to say his name, signed me up. Fabulous, fabulous agent. But because of, I don't know, there was actually, Rich and Judy actually had 2 books out, one set in the same time frame, one wasn't sort of a similar story, that was actually literally came out just after I signed with him. So it was around the time that he would have been submitting my book. Anyway, it didn't sell, and so I self-published it, and actually that's been great, because it sold many, many copies and lots of people really liked it. That was Broken Faces. But doing my structural edits made me think about writing that. I spent 4 years writing that book, and whereas now I take several months to write a book. I say it takes several months to write a book, but I've done a lot of research before, and the outline, and I know what I'm going to write for the most part. So I'm just telling the story, as it were, when I write it. But it got me to thinking, when I wrote Broken Faces, in my head I had this particular book, and I wrote it, and I expected, I don't know if it was just me that shouldn't have thought that, but I expected that first draft to be like the books that I bought from a shop and read. And of course it's not going to be. It was, I mean, I knew I needed to edit it when I self-published it, and I did many, many times with different people and whatever. But it was only when I was traditionally published, like I am now, that I realized quite how many edits a book goes through. As I said, structural edits, copy edits, line edits, and sometimes you'll go through those a couple of times, and proofs. So apart from me and my editor, my main editor, there will be probably 3 or 4 other people who go through my book too. So when a reader might find a typo, it's not because people haven't tried. I think a lot of the time when you're reading a book, you're reading what you're seeing what you think you're seeing, or what's in your head. I'm not sure. I know as the writer, when I read a book, I read what I think is there, and you can miss things. It's very easy to miss things. So these books go through a lot of different edits, and it occurred to me then that why I was being so hard on myself and I would sit down and I would write, but I would probably take a lot longer than I do now. Now that's not my 28th book, so I know much more about what I'm doing and the craft of writing. But I also know that that first draft is not going to be the finished product, not by a long way. And that first book that I wrote took so long because I was frustrated with myself that why was I not writing this book like a book that I bought in a shop or online and read and enjoyed? And it was simply because those books have gone through lots of edits. And when you write a first draft, clearly it's a first draft. Sometimes people refer to them as dirty drafts because they need an awful lot of cleaning up. So if you're one of those authors who maybe you're trying to write your first book, it's an overwhelming feeling to think you have to write between, 60 or 100,000 words, depending on your genre. And when you're trying to write that many words and you are expecting yourself to produce a finished product with that first draft, of course you're going to be overwhelmed, because that's impossible. There are some authors who can do that. I'm not one of them, and I would say that probably 90% of most writers are not like that either. They probably, like me, write the first draft, then have to go through all the different processes of those edits. So if you're feeling overwhelmed and you're trying to write that first or second or third novel, don't expect yourself to produce a finished product, because it's just not going to happen. I just thought I wanted to say that today because it occurred to me, because that is exactly what I thought I should be doing. I now know better. I'm now not so hard on myself. And I now, because I'm not so hard on myself, I don't feel that angst, and I don't, it doesn't sort of distract me from writing the book. I sit down, I write so many words a day, and I keep going until it's done. That's how I write, but I didn't used to write like that. Now I do, but now I don't have small children, and I don't have, lots of people to run around after. So it's a lot easier when you've got an awful lot of time. So that was my thought for today. Don't, if you're writing your first draft, expect to produce a finished, you write the first draft, but don't expect to produce a finished book that can then go out there and be sold, because it just doesn't happen really. Another reason I'm here today, apart from saying hello, I hope you're having a good week, is on Sunday I have a new book out. This one is Secrets and Sunshine by the Sunflower Cliffs. Now, this was previously published as the Jersey Affair, so if you read that version, this one's the same. This is book 2, this is book 1. So this book 1, New Beginnings by the Sunflower Cliffs, was originally published as A Jersey Kiss. So New Beginnings, this is B. Phillips, newly divorced, inherits her godmother's beautiful but run-down home and needs to do it up, and she employs this very handsome and rather charismatic but very grumpy, he has good reason to be, builder to come and work for her. And then her ex appears at work, he's her new manager, and all sorts of things happen. He is jealous of the builder and tries to cause problems, and lots of things happen. Now this version has been quite heavily, it's been reduced. It was a lot longer than it is now. I think about 25,000 words have been taken from this one. I think it was about 105,000 words long, which is way too long really. And it's now about 80,000 words. And this is the second book. This one hasn't changed very much. So this is Paige Bingham. She's been jilted. She's a shoe designer. And rather than, well, she is feeling sorry for herself, but her best friend, Ollie, persuades her to go on her honeymoon by herself to Sorrento, and there she meets Alessandro. Does she? No, she doesn't. I'm getting my books confused. What's his name? Sebastian, sorry, I'm getting my heroes. I've got so many books in my head. Sebastian Fielding. She meets him in Sorrento. He's lovely and he's a little bit mysterious, but he's really, really nice. And he shows her the sights. And it helps her take the sting out of what she's gone through and how badly she's been treated by her fiancé. But when she gets back to Jersey, she discovers that, what did I say his name? Sorry, Sebastian is actually the man who he works. He's the #1 guy at this company that takes over failing businesses, and he takes over the shopping store where she has her, I can't actually speak at the moment, her concession where she sells her shoes that she has designed. And she now is concerned whether she is surplus to his requirements. And as I'm sure you can imagine, an awful lot of drama happens because of that. So this is out on Sunday. And the third book is in the series. It's a 4-book series at the moment. The third book is out in 2 months. So you'll have book 1, book 2, book 3, and then book 4 will come out soon. So that's out on Sunday if you're looking for a romantic read set in Sorrento and in Jersey. While I'm here, I wanted to say a big thank you to one of my readers, Sheena. I came home today, it's my lovely coffee, I'll have that in a minute, to some gorgeous gifts from Sheena, and she's made me this is one of the gifts. Isn't that beautiful? It's a little like tea light tray for, I love beach huts, which you might be able to see behind me. I think I've got some little beach huts there. This is for my tea or my coffee and for my biscuits. Isn't that very, very kind? So thank you, Sheena. That really made my day. And a beautiful card with, look at that, poppies that she made and wrote a really lovely message to me. So thank you very much. That's really very, very kind and made my day. So that's me this week. Thank you for joining me again. For those of you who know me, my name's Deborah Carr. I am a USA Today best-selling author of historical fiction. And I also write as Georgina Troy. And I write as thrillers as Ella Drummond, but I've got two of those out. So there was some confusion recently. Those were republished a few years ago in again, different names and different covers, and I know that can be confusing. So one is The Darkest Summer, and the other one is My Last Lie. So those are those 2 books, just in case you see other versions out there. And yes, so that's me. I better get on and listen to this book. I hope you have a lovely week. If you'd like to subscribe, I'd be delighted. Do so here. I think it's here. Maybe it's here. Actually, it's probably here. The little red button saying subscribe. Please click on it. And that way you'll just get a little alert saying when I put up a new video like this. And also, if you've liked my video, please tick the thumbs up and do leave a comment and leave any questions you might like to ask me. I'm very happy to talk about whatever you like. So thanks very much. And if you like to read that book, please do. And if not, I hope you have a lovely afternoon. Thank you.